Before a child is born, the earth speaks. But sometimes, what it says is feared. It was a moonless night in Oduana, a remote village hidden deep in the forested valleys of eastern Nigeria. The wind was heavy with the scent of rain, and thunder mumbled like an old man behind the clouds. In a narrow mud house at the edge of the village, a young woman named Awil lay on a raffia mat, writhing in the throes of labor. Her husband, Okonkwo, stood outside, pacing restlessly, gripping a goat leather charm in his hand. 3 midwives chanted prayers inside, sweat gleaming on their brows as the child resisted the world's call. Hours passed. Lightning flashed. And then a cry. But it was not the cry of a normal child. It was a hiss. The midwives froze. The room chilled. Awil, barely conscious, whispered, "Let me see her." They hesitated. And then revealed the child. Her eyes were wide and golden like a serpent's. Her tongue a black, forked snake that slithered between her lips, alive yet bound to her. Awil screamed. Okonkwo barged in. He saw the child. Abomination. He stormed out into the rain. The village priest, Dibia Izemuo, was summoned by dawn. He examined the baby, who stared at him without blinking. He saw the markings on her chest, spiral tattoos that pulsed faintly in the morning light. "This child is not ordinary," he declared. "She carries the whisper of the spirit world. She will speak truths that no man wishes to hear." He turned to Awil. "But the curse, she must never speak in anger, or the spirits will answer with fire." They named her Mmuoaka, child of the spirits. But the villagers had already decided. She was an omen. A curse. A danger. As Mmuoaka grew, so did the fear. She never cried. She only hissed and stared. When she laughed, animals ran. Children avoided her. Mothers spat when she passed. Fathers whispered curses under their breath. Her mother loved her in secret, feeding her when no one watched, braiding her hair in the dark. Her father drank more and spoke less. He never touched her again. One market day, Mmuoaka, barely 5, walked past the shrine. The sacred bell hanging from the iroko tree began to ring, by itself. The villagers screamed. "She has woken the ancestors. She must be taken to the forest." Okonkwo agreed. At night, they took her. Awil sobbed as her husband dragged their daughter to the edge of the forbidden forest. They left her with a gourd of water and a white cloth. "If she returns," Okonkwo warned, "kill her." But before the first light of dawn, Awil returned to the forest edge and found only the cloth. Mmuoaka was gone. Not dead. Not taken by animals. But disappeared. A single snake skin was left on the ground where she had been. And a whisper in the wind. "She has gone, to where your spirits fear to look." Abandoned by blood, embraced by spirits. What the world threw away, the unseen claimed as their own. The forbidden forest was no ordinary place. It breathed like a beast. Trees bent in unnatural ways, their branches twisting into faces that watched and whispered. Mmuoaka, barefoot and silent, wandered deeper into the shadows. She should have been terrified. But her golden eyes glowed brighter in the dark. Her snake tongue flickered, not in fear, but curiosity. Each step she took stirred echoes, voices of ancestors, fragments of forgotten songs, the mutterings of spirits who never crossed over. Suddenly, the path before her shimmered, and an old woman appeared barefoot, cloaked in bark and vines. Her name was Neka, the forest mother. "You were not abandoned, child. You were returned." Neka reached into her cloth pouch and brought out a stone, black, smooth, humming with energy. "Place this on your tongue." Let the forest speak through you. Mmuoaka obeyed. Lightning cracked. She fell. Mmuoaka awoke in a cave lit by floating fireflies. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, and standing in a circle were the Whisperers, guardians of the spirit realm. They had no faces, only masks carved from ancient wood, each painted in red, white, and black. They did not speak aloud. Their words filled her mind. You are the mouth of the forgotten, the tongue of balance, the child of justice. One by one, they tested her. A riddle only the dead would know. A mirror that showed her past life, burned as a seer in another time. A pool where her reflection bore the form of a serpent. She passed them all. Nneka returned and placed a woven bracelet on her wrist. You can now hear the unspoken. But be warned, if you lie, your tongue will burn. The forest celebrated. The wind danced. Birds with golden feathers circled above. A leopard walked beside her and bowed. In a final rite, Mmuoaka was asked to speak a name not hers, but one from beyond. She opened her mouth. Her snake tongue hissed. And a voice not hers echoed. I am Ahumiri, daughter of silence. I see what you hide. I speak what you bury. The whisperers bowed. The ground trembled slightly. The world had changed. After what felt like days, Mmuoaka emerged from the forest. She was taller, calmer. Her eyes no longer glowed, they burned with knowledge. She spoke her first human words in years. I have eaten with the forgotten. I return not as a child, but as a witness. The birds silenced. The wind stilled. The earth waited. And far away in the village, the sacred bell rang again. They tried to silence her. But truth never dies. It waits, it watches, and then it speaks. 2 harvests had passed. The village of Oduana had changed, but not healed. Children still whispered about the girl with the snake's tongue. Mothers still covered their babies when the wind howled through the trees. And then, on the morning of the 3rd new moon, a strange figure appeared at the village's edge. She wore a hooded cloak made of forest silk. A woven bracelet shimmered on her wrist. It was Mmuoaka, no longer a child. Her steps were slow but certain. Her eyes calm but piercing. She walked to the market square. The people froze. Old women dropped their yams. One man ran. And then, she spoke. I bring no harm. Only warning. Her voice was layered as though 2 people were speaking. Her tongue flicked once, then curled back into her mouth. The village priest, Dibia Izemuo, stepped forward. His face pale. Child of the spirits, what do you want? Mmuoaka gazed at the sacred Iroko tree. The land is sick. The soil cries. You've buried things that should not stay buried. The villagers murmured. She raised a hand. Tonight, a fire will test your truth. If you've spoken lies, it will find you. Then she turned and walked away, into the shadows. That night, thunder gathered. No wind. No rain. Only silence. Suddenly, a scream. A hut near the village square burst into flames. Another. And another. By dawn, 3 huts had burned. Each belonged to elders who had hidden secrets, land theft, betrayal, blood curses. The people gathered, terrified. Mmuoaka stood among them, untouched. She said nothing. Her eyes said everything. The village elders called a meeting under the great baobab. She is dangerous, cried one. She is truth, whispered another. Dibia Izemuo stood. What she carries is not a curse, but a mirror. And we fear what we see. Still, fear ruled. They summoned Mmuoaka. You must leave again, they told her. Take your truths with you. She looked at each of them, her voice soft. You can banish me. But you cannot banish what's inside you. She turned, but not before placing her hand on the sacred bell. It rang once. The sky darkened. A crow cawed. And then she was gone again. When a truth-teller is silenced, the earth rebels. When a cursed child listens, the heavens speak. It began with drought. The rivers that once sang through Oduana dried into cracks. The sacred well, believed to be dug by the gods themselves, stopped giving water. Children coughed. The old grew thin. Dibia Izemuo poured libations, but the earth stayed thirsty. The people grew desperate. Some whispered, "Bring her back. The one with the tongue." Others feared what her return might cost. One night, under the shadow of the crescent moon, Mmuoaka returned not through the gate, but through the forest. She stood before the dried sacred well, touched the stone lip, closed her eyes. She knelt and whispered, "I am the daughter of silence. Let the forgotten be heard." Her tongue slithered once, and she dropped a single feather from the golden bird of the forest into the well. Lightning flashed. Thunder rolled. The well began to hum. A gush of water exploded upward. The next morning, the villagers awoke to singing birds and mist rising from the ground. Children ran to the well, screaming with joy. The drought was broken. That night, Mmuoaka dreamt of the whisperers. They stood at the edge of a burning field. You have opened the well, but something darker stirs beneath. You must choose truth or peace. She chose truth. A spirit mask cracked. A serpent crawled from the soil. It looked like her tongue, only older, angrier. The curse your mother tried to bury is not yours alone. Mmuoaka woke up screaming. The next day, Dibia Izemuo called the village to the shrine. He confessed. Many seasons ago, we forced a woman, Mmuoaka's mother, to swallow a charm. To hide the child's power. Gasps. She was chosen by the gods. But we feared her. We buried her truth. And now, it returns with fire. Mmuoaka stepped forward. I do not seek revenge. I seek release. Release for my mother. And for this land. She touched the shrine stone. Her tongue flickered. The stone glowed. A wind swept through the village. The trees bent low. A crow landed at her feet and cawed 3 times. Then flew west. The curse was broken. Redemption does not arrive on golden wings. It crawls, whispers, and rises when the world least expects it. A season passed. Mmuoaka lived in the forest's edge, helping the sick, healing crops, interpreting dreams. Villagers crept in, one by one, seeking her help in secret. She never turned them away. One day, a group of masked women from the Mmuoaka clan came bearing a woven crown made of raffia and golden feathers. The ancestors have spoken, they said. You are no longer a curse. You are the spirit crown of Oduana. They bowed low. Even Dibia Izemuo wept. Mmuoaka stood silent, eyes moist. Her tongue flicked once, not in anger but peace. She accepted the crown. The baobab leaves rustled. The sky cleared. For the first time in generations, peace filled the air. With the villagers' help, they built Mmuoaka a sacred house between forest and village. No longer an outcast, she became the bridge between the seen and the unseen. She trained others in herbs, in chants, in the ancient language of whispers. She forgave her father. She wept at her mother's grave, placing upon it the same bracelet she once wore as a child. Children no longer feared her tongue. They asked to hear her stories. "Why do you speak with a snake tongue?" one child asked. She smiled. "So the spirits can speak through me." And the children nodded. One night, the stars shone brighter than they ever had. Mmuoaka had a final vision. A child with her eyes but no curse. A village where truth was honored. A world where difference was sacred. She stood before the sacred well once more. Let the cycle end here. She placed the spirit crown beside the water. It dissolved into light. A hush fell over the land. Even the spirits bowed. Mmuoaka turned and walked into the forest. Her silhouette faded with the mist. They called her cursed. But she became the curse breaker. They called her beast. But she became a bridge. This is the story of the girl who spoke in tongues and healed a nation. Thank you for walking the path with Mmuoaka, the girl whose pain became prophecy. May her story echo in the hearts of those who've ever been silenced, shamed, or misunderstood. May her courage remind us that even a cursed tongue can become a voice of healing. May her silence teach us that not all power is loud. And may her legacy live on, wherever truth dares to whisper. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more hauntingly powerful African folktales. Join us in keeping these sacred stories alive. Your support brings forgotten voices back into the light.